Hey, Josh.
Hey, buddy. I got something to tell you.
No, I was going to tell you.
Oh, you going to go first? Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I decided to start a pro hide and seek league.
Oh, you did, huh? Okay, you decided to start. What made you decide to start a pro hide and go seek league?
Well, it failed.
It failed?
Yeah.
Well, why did it fail? You're successful.
Good players were so hard to find. Oh, you got the buttons.
Very good.
I like it.
Very good.
So,
And Chris is not laughing at all. And he's like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
So every episode we start with a dad joke. So
Yeah.
do you have any good dad jokes?
No, I do not.
I'm normally the worst. I'm reading this off of a sheet.
Yeah.
And so that's the only way I can remember.
Yeah, I'm going to stop writing them down for you now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you stole my dad joke.
I know. I saw you going into it, and I just wanted to take it from you.
It's the second time. It's the second dad joke interruption you've done in 2 podcasts. Chris, I got to tell you, brother, you've got a great voice for a podcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, so we're here with Chris Johnson. He is the CEO and president of the Tonto Gravity Riders, which is a nonprofit organization born with the mission to provide volunteer resources to ease the burden of maintenance of the Pinal Mountain trail system for the Tonto National Forest. But they also do work in like kind of other places as well.
Yeah.
Chris, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. You?
Doing awesome, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's much better than I'm drinking whiskey talking to you guys about bikes and trail building than I am working.
We had like under 100 degrees today.
That's
that was
awesome.
Great. So
Gorgeous.
I know I'm so excited. We're starting to go into good weather.
Yeah.
So
Chris, where are you at physically in the world?
I am in Mesa.
oh, cool.
Right
I'm
on.
out by the Haas Trail System and about 10 minutes away from NRA Pit.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that area, man.
That is awesome. We very much enjoy Haas. The last time I rode it, we went up and rode with
Pivot.
Brian Mason, the president of Pivot.
Brian.
Yeah, he met us out there and brought some bikes and took us on a tour up to e-bikes.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Not that we're exclusively e-bikers, but
I'm getting there.
but that day I enjoyed that super expensive Pivot e-bike.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right on, Chris. Well, hey man, just to start out, maybe tell us in your words a little bit about TGR, its history, and like what you think the mission is.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, TGR, of course, Tonto Gravity Riders, were a group of mountain bikers, and basically it started out as a grassroots, no dig, no ride kind of group of people. And when your options are limited, sometimes you tend to take things kind of into your own hands. So probably started around 2010 when NRA Pit, which I'm not sure if everybody's aware of, but was a popular jumping area out at the Haas trail system, was under heavy scrutiny. And, well, it was time to kind of go low key for a while. So kind of disappeared, and a lot of people that were involved disappeared with me. And we kind of disappeared into the woods to kind of create a new future and to make a new plan on how to provide a certain type of riding that had limited options in the state. And from there, it kind of grew. And before you knew it, 10 years had passed, and we had been encountered by the Forest Service, and they had encountered some of these gyms that we may talk about a little bit later, and were so impressed with the construction and the work that they actually wanted to develop a working relationship and utilize that amount of effort and dedication into actually expanding and taking care of the Pinal Mountain trail system.
Holy crap, that's amazing. Like usually it's just you get your hands slapped and fingers wagged at you and stuff, and these guys are like, you did a good job, let's do more of this. That's awesome. So
yeah, the goals from the early days, and it's one of those things that you'd sit around with your buddies and you joke about, and you'd be like, we'll do something, but we'll do it so good that when that time comes, that it kind of forces in the direction of where we're at today. And it was kind of an eye opener when it actually was like one of those things where you joke about, you hope dreams will come true, and eventually it happens the exact same way that you had envisioned, the whole process kind of unfolding when that time arose.
That's pretty amazing. So we hit the NRA Pit a long time ago with no brakes, and I feel like it was around before Hawes. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My first shovel full of dirt out there was in 2005.
Oh, that makes sense, because that's when we were racing, and then it was huge. Like, it was that's where you went. I mean, you either found some random lot where kids had built dirt jumps, in the middle of the desert, or the NRA Pit. There was like nothing else in all of Arizona.
So I want to double click on the NRA Pit for a second, but before we do that, let's so Chris, our podcast is kind of all around the world. So I want to orient our international audience and the domestic audience that's not in the desert southwest to the towns and the areas that we're talking about. So Phoenix is the biggest city in Arizona.
Yep.
Mesa is a suburb of Phoenix that's just east of that.
Yep.
In Mesa, there's a couple great trail systems. We talked about Hawes. You talked about the NRA Pit. We'll double click on that. If you go a little bit, I think southeast of Phoenix, you'll get to Globe.
Yeah. God, is it north or south?
I can't remember. It's east of Globe. It's east of Mesa, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And then if you go a little south of there, you get to the Pinal Mountain trail system, Pinal Mountains, but that's all in the Tonto National Forest.
Okay.
Chris, how did I do with that?
Is that about right?
Did pretty good. Tonto National Forest is actually, I think, don't quote me on it, like the 4th or 5th largest national forest in the United States.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. In fact, I had no idea they were the same. Like, I thought they were
Pinal
two
and Tonto. I didn't either. And I was looking it up. I was like, why are these guys called the Tonto Gravity Riders if they're taking care of Pinal? And then I was like, oh shit, because it's in the Tonto National Forest.
That's crazy. As long as I've lived here, I've never known that. So that's awesome. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I was going to ask you where the name came from. So,
all right. So Chris, double click on the NRA jumps a little bit for us.
Yeah.
Like what is that? What was that? How did that come to be? What is it like?
The NRA jumps basically there was no place in the valley at the time outside of a place that was called the Playground, which was a lot that was by an SRP plant off of Pima and Princess, which is in Scottsdale. Had nothing on the east side. And when I was getting back into serious mountain biking, I was inspired and caught the bug of free riding and jumping because of Darren Bearclaw and his videos and stuff. So it was like, oh God, we want something like this somewhere. We need to do something. So, being kind of young and naive, I think I was in my mid-20s at the time. And we're like, oh, let's find a place to kind of create something. And doing some research and stuff, there had been some old school guys that also had dug out there at the NRA Pit, but it had been something that had kind of went to the wayside and become in serious disrepair. But at the time, there was like 4 jumps there on what's still called A-line. So when me and one of my riding buddies showed up, we started going out there and digging. And funny story is we had built our first feature out there, which was a ladder bridge kind of jump out in the upper reaches of the NRA area. It wasn't no more than a week after we built that, I had heard from our local bike shop at the time, DNA Cycles. Hey, the city of Mesa says there's something going on out here on this side of the mountain. I was like, oh, geez. I was like,
what could that be?
Oh, really?
Interesting.
It was like immediate, but, nothing ever come of it. And of course, we continued to go out there and to build. And basically, we were building a progression area that we kept adding on to, and basically wanted to have a place for ourselves to progress and for others to progress. And the main thing is you can't have a sport or develop a niche of a sport if there aren't other people that are interested in it. Right. So you need to be able to have that level of progression to where you don't just build something that you want and you want only, but you need to build stuff that attracts people out and gives that ability for people to kind of progress. And that actually started kind of like a downhill free ride kind of boom, because remember cactus bikes at the time, they were actually becoming overwhelmed by the amount of all mountain riders that were coming in seeking downhill and free ride rigs because they wanted to go jump and learn how to jump out of the NRA pit.
Shout out to Fish. So
yes,
yeah. So you say Darren Bearcloth, and I just see him jumping off 40-foot cliffs and stuff. I mean, like, how big is the stuff out there that you guys built?
There's everything that ranges from 5-10 foot gaps up to got some 40-foot gaps that are hidden out there on the sides, and some pretty technical kind of hits that you have to have some kind of skill to get through the initial part of the run in just to get into the feature and then out of it.
Was that first ladder one was that over like a little wash?
Like it came off of, it fed off of a rock and actually jumped across a wash. So
I remember that, man. Is that still there? I haven't been out there in a while.
No, that was a flat bridge type installation. And at one point in time, when the Forest Service was in a very disgruntled mood of headhunting, we had removed it and replaced it with a dirt step-up feature that later on I actually came back and replaced it with a curved ramp. However, curved ramp didn't last as long as the original feature, which had gone like probably 8 years.
When you say curved ramp, you mean like a shark fin?
No, kind of like a curved BMX jump. So instead of just having like a bridge that's flat going across and you carry your speed off of, this was like a ladder bridge that had a curve at the end.
Gotcha.
So it was
like a lip,
kind of like a street ramp, but built in midair.
Yeah. I got you. So is that system still active today?
Oh yeah, the NRA pit has actually finally is adopted and a legit area within the Haas Trail system, and has no plans of going anywhere now.
Wow, I didn't know that was part of
how
Haas.
Progressive is it now? Is there like can you go slowly build up your skill set, or is it all gaps right away?
No, there's plenty of room for building up your skill set, from jumps that have natural landings to small tables that are, in different places out there, and just a lot of natural hits that give you the confidence of going further and further because you can land pretty much anywhere.
That's pretty amazing, man. So when you did all of this, so initially you kind of went out and just were like, hey, I'd like to have something, and you kind of made it happen, and it wasn't really supposed to. The land managers weren't like on board. And what do you think, like, at what point did they just go, yeah, let's keep this? What did you have an advocacy group that helped you, or was it just you and a couple guys, or what?
You're talking about NRA Pit now.
Yeah. NRA.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of two sides, two different stages to it. So the NRA Pit, as trucking along, 2008 is like, high heaven times. You go out there, there's 30 mountain bikers out there at any given time. Enjoying, and we actually start making headway, and I had made contact with the Forest Service and was developing a relationship with the rec ranger of Mesa at the time, and it looked like things were going to be promising. So I initially was starting a group called East Valley Mountain Bikers Association, some long thing, in order to be able to work with them in working towards legitimizing NRA. We were moving in a good direction, and we had a group of riders that wouldn't stop trying to modify and add new stuff out there, when our agreement was, hey, we'll stop everything except for maintenance to make this stuff happen, kind of build the relations and the trust. We did a big NRA cleanup where basically we raked the whole bottom of the pit, sifted it through sifters, got out the glass, the bullet casings, you name it, the rest of the garbage, and things were going quite well. However, this other group of mountain bikers didn't heed and didn't have, I guess, the respect for the process that was happening to make that area legitimate. And unfortunately, we also had a rec ranger change. And this is one thing that I found with the Forest Service over the years is if somebody changes office or position, the new person that comes in may not see eye to eye with what was going on with the previous and can absolutely just crush it. And basically it died. They bulldozed the NRA pit. Our guys, we took off, we disappeared. We're like, okay, we're done. That's kind of done. And then that's when the Pinal Mountain thing started, and Tonto Gravity Riders was born around 2010 in lieu of that, because it didn't matter if we were at Hawes or if we were up at the Pinals, we were still in the Tonto National Forest, and we were still basically, that was the focus, was riding in Tonto areas. Fast forward all the way up until 2020, and that's when like Hawes Trail Alliance had started getting their footing and started moving with getting the Hawes Trail system adopted, getting new trails and stuff like that. And during that process is when the NRA Pit was truly adopted. The revival of NRA Pit happened in a bad snow year. I think it was like 2017 or 2018. And I was bored and went back out there to see how bad the damage looked after they had bulldozed it. And honestly, they just kind of didn't really bulldoze it. They dismantled and all the material was still there. So I was like, okay, well, let's start throwing shovels again. within probably a few weeks, had a majority of the stuff that was destroyed kind of rebuilt back up, which kind of brought it back into the limelight, which kind of made it a thing that needed to be taken care of, or something needed to be figured for the area. Because obviously in the Forest Service's eyes, it wasn't going anywhere and it had risen from the dead. So with the help of HTA, yeah, and with the help of HTA and some of their gravity riders that were also loosely related to our group, kind of pushed to make things happen. And that was something that they worked hard at and still work hard at keeping it, keeping it as a riding place too.
Yeah, when we did go out and ride with Pivot and talk to their president, he was telling us about how they actually go out and try and help out at Hawes and volunteer and for their trail days and stuff. And I just love the fact that whole area has been kind of like greenlit to do some really fun stuff. And it's not, some wide open, like, tame trail for,
it's got lots of progression. It's a flow trail. They allow e-bikes.
There's really techie stuff.
There's mellow stuff. It's got it all.
Yeah. And so it's really cool to see. It's, I know in our area, we have a lot of wildcat trails that have been here forever, and we all ride them, and they're starting to get adopted finally.
Slowly. Especially
slowly.
on Mount Graham.
Yeah. Well, and
Mount Lemon. Sorry.
Yeah. Mount Lemon. And, so it's kind of, you don't want to encourage people to go out and build trails without permission, but at the same time, if you have a land manager that realizes that it's a good, viable place for recreation and people like it, and they are open to that, and they kind of figure out a way to make it happen, that is really encouraging. So
tell us a little bit. So, the time that they bulldozed it, and then you guys, effectively 2010 established TGR, and you went out into the Pinal Mountains. First of all, how far is that from Mesa?
For me, I'm at 7,800 feet in about an hour and 15 minutes from my doorstep.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So it's not too bad. Yeah.
Not too bad. And then, so tell us how that went, and tell us like what the trails are like out there.
The Pinal Mountains was actually, thanks to Cosmic Ray's book, was one of my first areas that I went to.
I had that book.
Me too. Yeah.
Went to for big mountain descents, and started riding up there probably in 2005 and stuff, and fell in love with it because it was like such a vastness of mountain. Like when you're on the mountain in the middle, you actually feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. And being close to the valley, And originally, I'm from Colorado, so I'm used to the mountains. And being out here in the desert, I was kind of missing my fix. And well, I found my fix there. When we had disappeared in 2010, up that direction was basically kind of had a dream that I wanted to take like all the features that had been built out at NRA, and instead of having all these different lines everywhere, you squeeze that into one line, one trail, and have something that provided an extended duration of fun and challenge. So basically spent a bunch of time up there, and if was going to do it, was going to do it right, which meant there was a lot of time that went into doing my own kind of ecological studies, finding out, making sure that I didn't repeat the mistakes that lots of trail builders in the state of Arizona had previously made. For instance, don't build through an owl pack.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So endangered owls, that's a big deal here because they mate, I guess, in the summertime.
Yep. And it causes, the Forest Service has to respect that.
Yeah.
And then it causes a lot of problems, either delays or you're not allowed to, or you have certain times when you can go out. So
Chris, have you been formally trained in trail building, or did you just figure this out as you were going along?
A lot of it was figuring out as you go along. Of course, there's lots of books like Natural Trail Surface Designs and IMBA books of early days, but they give you concepts. What it doesn't give you is a site-to-site basis. So really it comes down to, like, depending on your location, while certain principles work, the method of getting to that outcome is much different in different environments. So a lot of it actually has come from early days out at Haas and early days at NRA, and basically when taking that step was also taking the step to learn quite a bit more before, just making an ugly scar down the side of a mountain that turns into a 2-foot deep channel. Of erosion nightmare.
Yeah, once the monsoons come.
Yeah, so you got to have an eye for it, but you got to follow some basics. It sounds like. Correct. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the trails out there at Pinal, and I had mentioned earlier that you've got 4 on your website that you've listed: Telephone, 6-Shooter, Ice Canyon, and Keller. Maybe tell us about those, and then I know you've got some others that you think may get adopted in the master plan in the future.
Most of the trails on the Pinals, you got your main ones, which is going to be 6-Shooter. That is the most renowned one. Everybody's pretty much heard of it. Whether they can put a place to where 6-Shooter is a different story, but they've heard of it.
Right.
6-Shooter, Kellner, and Ice House all drop off of the peak and run to the north end of the mountain and give you a range of anywhere between 7 miles and 5 miles of riding to get down the mountain. And we're talking, you start up at 7,800 feet and you finish off down around like 4,500 feet in the 4,000 range. And you go through quite a few different life zones on each one of these trails, from anything from, you see aspens at the top and you're kicking cactus at the bottom.
Yeah.
which is really cool to go through all those different life zones as you ride a trail, just because it provides quite a unique experience in each one of those life zones and varying trail characteristics. 6-Shooter is by far the most popular due to its length and its notoriety. It's been the trail that's seen probably the most amount of trail maintenance over the years and even previous to our involvement, which meant it was always the one that, you had the best chance of getting down without crawling over a ton of trees.
So, tell us, like if you're a prospective rider coming up from Tucson, like tell me about the trails. Like, what are the difficulty of the trails? What would I experience on 6-Shooter? What would I experience on Ice House? What would I experience on Kellner? I know that I can see on Trail Forks that I think 6-Shooter and ice house, at least in the trail fork system, they've graded as black, and then Kellner they've graded as blue. So how would you explain this?
I also do the trail forks maintenance. So some of that has been on me. At one point in time, they had 6-shooter as double black and ice house is double black and Kellner is black. But in honesty, ratings on the trails and the Pinels actually are more, I want to say, speed related than they are a lot of times technical related. We've ridden, in the early days, I've ridden a hard tail down 6-shooter, and I would have called it double black back then. At this day and age, I would definitely consider like 6-shooter is a solid block. And the reason why it's black is there are areas where there's a lot of off-camber, skinny single track that meanders on the hillsides. There are rocky technical features that are short-lived within certain areas, depending if they're steps, check dams, or just erosion kind of features. I would expect, if it's first time riding 6-shooter, it'd probably take you an hour and a half to get down if you didn't have any mechanicals or anything like that. I would say that anybody could ride them. It's just a matter of how fast or how much of the technical features that you choose to walk or to navigate around.
So Chris, we joke that like there's Arizona blacks and then there's blacks everywhere else in the country. and our blacks in Arizona are more like double blacks in other parts of the country.
Yeah, I feel like you're maybe one of the first people we've talked to that actually has rated trails. So like, do you have like a way that, like, do they give you guidelines? Like if you're maintaining the trail forks for that, do they say, okay, you have to have, I heard once that if it's a feature, like if it's a drop above like 12 inches, you have to go to a different rating or something. Is there some guidelines they give you?
Well, not really, giving guidelines. You kind of choose whether you want to use an IMBA type system to rate trails, or if you want to use a system that's based on the area.
So how did you come up with that? Like, do you have like criteria that like it? So I guess what I want to ask is, can you have one feature in the trail that will make it a black, but if that feature wasn't there, would it be a blue kind of deal? Or
no, not necessarily. No. Okay. One feature isn't going to dictate the entire trail's rating. If you have a trail that is, the majority of it is green, except for it's got 3 blue bits, and out of those 3 blue bits, it's like 3% of the trail. Those are just those typical areas where you would have that variation. But the goal is the overall feel of the trail from top to bottom.
That is, I find that super fascinating because, again, like Josh said, we, I race downhill and we go from here to other places, and the Arizona riders always do well because, except when there's roots and water, but we always,
and dirt.
And trees. Actual dirt. Yeah. So, because we're so used to this roughness that we're on, and then you go to a black somewhere else, like even some of the stuff in San Diego we ride is not super hard compared to here. So it's kind of cool to hear how people figure out what makes a trail a blue, black, or green. So,
well, for our listeners, and obviously if you're listening to this, you're a podcast, a fan, but there's a podcast called Trail Effect, and it's spelled AEFFECT. I don't know why he spells it that way, but he does. But Trail Effect, and a great podcast for trail builders, trail advocacy groups, anyone interested in in kind of the art and science and work around trails. I think Josh Blum is the podcast host there, but he's got a great episode on a group of guys. I want to say they're from Norway, maybe from Sweden.
Yeah, but the European ones.
Yeah, European, and they've developed something they call the ITRS, the International Trail Rating System, and they've got they rate it on 4 different grades, and they're trying to get it adopted worldwide. It's pretty interesting podcast, and they talk a lot about trail rating and how it goes, and one of the things that they talk about is this scenario where like every like municipality wants to show that they have diversity of their trails. So they want to have green, blues, blacks, double blacks. They want to have everything. And so in some areas, if the topography or the land features or the trails themselves just don't lend it to it, sometimes they'll have something marked like black. And it's like, we would be like, that's a green trail. Like, what are you doing? Because they want to show that they've got diversity in their area. And so that can really impact how trails are graded or how rated. And it's so hard to tell, you know, city to city, state to state, country to country, like what you're actually in for.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's always confusing. Whenever we go somewhere, it's always a question of, is this a real black or is this a like a blue? So
yeah, for sure.
We used to ride 6-shooter probably 2005. I don't know if you were out there first then, but I had a buddy who lived in Globe, and I don't think he built that trail, but he definitely rode it. He's the one that showed me.
Yeah.
And then I rode it recently, and it's so much different. You can tell the amount of work that's been put into it that I'm sure you guys are doing, Chris.
So what about the other trails, Chris? What about Ice House and Kellner?
So yeah, out of all of those trails, Ice House, that is a downhiller's favorite. That is down, pure down. There's no climbing within the Ice House trail itself. It is steep. It has some sharp switchbacks that have been kind of worked over the years to be a little bit more bike maneuverable. And it's great. I mean, it's in a dark canyon. There's aspens. The whole top is aspens. Like this time of year right now, Ice House and 6-shooter are just showing the colors and coming into probably peak colors within probably the next week and a half or 2 weeks up there, especially with this moisture system and this cold front that's getting ready to push through finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long do you think we have till that thing's got snow on it?
Well, it varies year to year. A long time ago, we used to abandon the mountain in middle of June because of heat, and we wouldn't come back until about September if we were lucky and it was still warm. And then around December, January, we would see snow up there. And a lot of times people would actually stop riding it up there around mid-November and not come back till March. Yeah. I have found personally being on the mountain a ton for the last 14 years is it's really hit or miss. If snow flies, most of the time, it's only a few weeks before you're able to get back in again. It is unless we get some really heavy cold fronts and snow years that actually gets locked out until about March when it thaws back out. But we've been pretty lucky over the last 5 years. And I think out of those, maybe not been able to ride up there a total of like 4 or 5 weeks out of those years combined.
It's Arizona still, but we do get some. We get some bad weather sometimes.
Yeah, up in the high elevation for sure. So, what about Kellner, Chris?
Kellner Canyon. That one is probably the more mellow, tame trail on the mountain. Its grade's more favorable. It has a little bit of pedaling in it, but nothing like the famous 6-shooter hike-a-bike. So it provides more saddle time for a lot of riders. After the telegraph fire, a lot of the manzanita has been burned off, so it's quite exposed. So it has quite a different character than, say, 6-shooter, where you're going from riding in the woods and in open areas in manzanita. Kellner Canyon Trail is pretty exposed from probably a mile down all the way down to the bottom. But it's a wide trail, wide open, fast. It has some rocky bits and technical. The most technical portion of Kellner is just the top half mile that traverses through a drainage that had gotten beaten up by post-fire floods pretty heavily. But we rebuilt that about a year ago, and it's actually, by Trail Forks, it's been getting more use than 6-shooter has.
That's cool.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Are these marked or easy to find, or trail forks is really the way to go? Or is there any signage, when you go up there?
There's signage, and a lot of the signage has been replaced on the mountain, and some of the inaccuracies with mileage and junctions have been also fixed. But trail forks is pretty spot on too.
Cool. That's awesome.
So I noticed that the TGR won a 2013 USDS Forest Service Southwest Region Service Award for Citizen Stewardship and Partnerships. Was that for your work in Pinal?
That definitely is.
Well, yeah. Tell us about that process. Like, how did that come? Did they just contact you and let you know, or did you guys have to submit something, or how did that work?
No, I was contacted probably about 4 months ago in preparation for this, that they had planned on awarding us that award.
Oh, that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, that is really awesome. I got to tell you, like, it's like a Cinderella story you got going on there. Like you just started like kind of making stuff because people wanted it. And then all of a sudden land managers recognized not only the need and the want, but the talent. And then now you're winning awards. That's pretty amazing, man. So that's really impressive.
We haven't talked about this in the podcast, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Nathan Gordon as well from STMB, who also won one of these award.
Oh, nice.
For his work down on Mount Graham.
Yeah. Have you been to Mount Graham yet, Chris?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I know.
I saw James down there.
I was going to say, I know James is a fan and he's done a lot of work there. So I didn't know if he drug you down there yet. So it's a pretty cool trail. So.
No, that's a big mountain as well, and has a bit more of the big mountain feel than say Pinal does, mainly because it has the old growth and kind of has that older character to it.
Right.
Yeah. Now I want to talk to him about my favorite, which is Sunrise.
All right, go for it, man.
Because you took all of these skills that you learned and these relationships, and how did you bring them to Sunrise? How did you get involved working at Sunrise Ski Resort up in the White Mountains?
Oh, I had been trying for so long to get into Sunrise, back before the majority of mountain bikers had kind of rode off the place to its revival with new management that looked like it was going in the right direction. And then it just so happens that the actual true Cinderella story is that Sunrise got the perfect management in place that has been able to make things happen. And I had been disheartened in the past because I had approached them and say, hey, I do have all this experience, do have all these supporters and these people. Let us help you. And they weren't taking any of the bait at any point in time. And when they finally did, they weren't willing to support that. So it ended up not happening. And it was when Brian and Todd both came on board. And a lot of it goes to Brian Zonker up there. James had always had a foot in the door, was well known up there because he's been going up there for half a decade or so more than I have. And he came to me, approached me at work one day and said, hey, Ryan says they're not going to turn down any free help on the mountain. And I was like, well, I guess we'll try this again. And I decided, well, it's kind of one of those things, either you go big or you go home kind of deal. And I told James, I was like, well, relay to Brian. I was like, tell him I will design, build, and fund them a green flow trail.
And that's what turned into Yage, right?
Yep, that's what turned into Yage. And the reason for my proposal of not saying, hey, let's build the gnarliest black trail with the coolest jumps and the raddest features is Sunrise as an area was lacking
more accessible trail for riders with less skill.
Yeah, it's always been a hard mountain.
Exactly. So, the story with most people is people take their friends there. The friends ride that Sunrise the first time. They get their butts handed to them.
Yep.
They have a rough time. They get eaten up by the mountain. They get eaten up by fall line trails, and they never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Some never even mountain bike again because
yes. It's traumatic.
So the idea is need to build something at Sunrise that draws in riders, that will provide fun and give that ability for people that come to have a place to progress on. They could start off on this trail, get used to the mountain, get used to the dirt, the marbles, the dust, whatever it may be, and would bring them back. I've taken both my kids to Sunrise in the past, and we're talking like the years 2008, 2009, 10, and you can imagine a green child rider trying to enjoy themselves at Sunrise wasn't really going to happen.
No, there's no way. I mean, I'm taking my kids now, and if it weren't for Yage, I wouldn't take them. They would not be on that mountain, but that trail is.
But they loved it.
They did, yeah, and they're getting so into it because of the accessibility to an entry level rider, and it's still fun. Like,
I had a great time. You got a lot of features and stuff off the sides that we rode down. So Chris, we did a family trip where Dane's family, my family, and then Nick and Eddie, and all those people brought their kids. And their age range from like 9 to what's Jilly, like 13 years old. And man, they just absolutely loved it, man.
Yeah, it was great. And that's, we talked a little bit before this podcast started recording, and I had mentioned to you that at first, as somebody who's been going to Sunrise for decades, oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out to James. We've mentioned his name a couple times, James Van Horst. He's been kind of a fixture at Sunrise for almost as long as I've been going up there. And he's been helping you. He's, what is it? He is a trail volunteer crew leader.
And director.
For TRG.
Yeah, how'd you get hooked
TGR.
How'd you get hooked up with James, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, I met James a long time ago, and mainly it was through the short bus.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
The short bus, you guys.
That's his nickname. So Short Bus James. So
okay.
So a little background on James is one of the only places we could practice downhill in Arizona was South Mountain, and James had this he still has it, rickety old airport bus that he's converted.
He's got a short bus.
He's got a short bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was another reason you guys were calling him Short Bus James. I was like, he seems normal to me.
And he has been like this guy. I mean, he is, he's pretty much a mountain bike saint in my eyes. He has been driving that bus with a trailer and shuttling people on South Mountain for, I always say decades, but it's no joke, at least 20 years, if not more. So wow. I can't believe that the bus is still going.
So you met him through catching a ride on his bus.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, actually. Yeah. And I probably met him, it was probably like 2006 or something like that. Of course, searching for places to ride. It's like, oh, you got South Mountain, you can ride there. And there's this guy that drives this bus up. You give him a donation and, get a ride up to the top and go down. And that's kind of where I met him. I've driven that bus multiple times in order for him to get his runs in too.
Yeah, which is cool. That's one of the things that's cool about James is he's always doing this for other people, and then he gets 1 or 2 runs in, and somebody will drive.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think my first contact high was from that bus. So because you get hot boxed like crazy.
So tell us more about Sunrise. I want to keep double clicking.
So
what else?
So we did a shout out, but then we were talking about Yage,
which is amazing. So so what else have you guys done up there?
Well, yeah, it's actually we're finished up with year 3 now, and done tons. We built Yage, which was quite an undertaking, and actually the first machine build that I had been involved in, because I've always built things by hand. But I wanted to expand my building curriculum to include machines, because that all plays part in Tonto Gravity Rider's master plan and stuff, which we can get into a little bit later.
Well, you went out and bought the machine, right? Like you didn't just borrow it or rent it. Didn't you buy one?
Well, the first year I did a GoFundMe to cover the costs that were coming out of my pocket for the machine rental.
Yeah.
And we actually did pretty good. With the GoFundMe was able to get enough that actually paid for the machine rental.
Nice.
Which was really cool. And we had a lot of mountain bike support. Sunrise had put in $1,500 towards the GoFundMe for that year, which was the biggest input out of anybody that had put in. And it wasn't until the second year at Sunrise that I went out and decided, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. And I definitely want to be able to use a machine up in the Pinal Mountains. So I kind of, even though I'm not financially off, I decided I would take the hit on buying an excavator. I was lucky and I found a good low hour excavator that I was able to pick up with the trailer. However, well, sometimes some things are too good to be true. That was one of those instances. Come to find out after the end of the Sunrise year that excavator was stolen.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It was a guy had rented it from Home Depot, and he had immediately sold it. And the guy that I bought it off of, which lived in $1 million home and had a yard full of construction equipment, sold it to me. And then it wasn't until a month after it was due back from rental that Home Depot finally reported it stolen. And long story short, they came and collected it from me. And based on everything that went on, I basically had no recourse.
Oh man, that is wow. I had no idea. I was so like envious that you got this machine and you're out there and just living the dream, and what a sucky situation, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that was a painful lesson there. So I didn't let that sway me, and we were coming up on this season, which was season 3 of Sunrise, and I didn't want to rent a machine, and I still want to do my Pinal Mountain stuff. So I bit the bullet and bought a brand new machine directly from the dealership.
Wow.
So that way, there's no questions.
Yeah.
It's not stolen.
That's crazy, because it's not like you register those things or whatever. They don't need a license plate. You're not driving them on the street. So yeah.
Correct. They are just a piece of construction equipment.
Yeah, it's like buying a shovel. Like nobody's like, so wow. That is crazy, man.
So that brought us to year 3. And of course, the machine I had up there this year was a brand new machine that I got a beat up on. And over the last 3 years at Sunrise, we built Yage, Identity Crisis, followed the next year.
Also a great trail.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
And then had enough time left in the season that decided to do a complete rebuild of Pinedale and turned it into Pinedale Flow Trail, which it is now.
Yeah,
to make it more fun, more green.
Where is that?
So that's the trail that Turner always calls to base, because it used to have a sign that said to base. So it's going to the base of the thing.
Like after you're coming out and you go back down.
It's got the switchbacks and the little, like the big little jumps.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's actually called Pinedale. They changed the signage. So I just went up there this last Sunday.
So it says Pinedale now?
Yeah. And so the signage is getting better. And I think we talked to Colby. He was doing...
Colby, you know Colby Landon, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so he was saying they were working on their signage, and they are. You can see a bunch of new signs up. And but my son has called Pinedale to base forever, because that's what it used to say.
It's interesting, Chris. So like we got turned on to Colby through Instagram, because he's pretty prolific in his posting up there. Mm-hmm. And then we actually were up there when we did the family trip, and we reached out to Colby and we said, hey, we're up here. Can we, we'd love to do a podcast with you. And so we recorded one with Colby and put that out, I don't know, two or three episodes ago.
Yep. Yeah.
And he turned us on to you guys and said, hey, you got to talk to Tonto Gravity guys. They're like doing a lot of stuff up here. So that's kind of what, like, shout out to Colby for leading us to you.
Yeah, it's cool how you guys have divided and conquered that mountain. He's doing his thing. He's building lips and jumps and kind of these sculpted features. And you guys are actually going into the forest and creating actual trails and, new actual trails, and he's then, adding on to those. It's really cool. So
yeah, eventually, hopefully someday we'll actually work together on the same types of trail and have two different machines, building something like I'd love a Hungry Hippo style trail.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
We know what that Hungry Hippo, that's Angel Fire.
Yeah, you've been to Angel Fire, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, that was back when most mountain bikers had basically rode off Sunrise for quite some time. Angel Fire became my second home, and I basically was making weekend drive trips. I was doing 7-day week stays. I think in the 10 years I was going to Angel Fire, on average, I would get about 60 days.
Oh my gosh. That's like my dream is to spend 60 days at Angel Fire.
I know
I've had years where I've spent maybe a dozen days and not even that, maybe 10 days there, but I've never done more than that.
Yeah.
Just one trip this year, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, at one point in time, I felt like a local there because I rode there so much.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So, you built a new trail that I rode. It's really new. It's called Squirrel Catcher.
Yep.
And it took us, I'm trying to think. So we go past Yage, and then we basically get onto Squirrel Catcher, and it took us over and kind of intersected to Loma Zona, if I remember correctly.
It spits out at the Geronimo lift down, so you can take Bacho or Loma Zona. Yay!
Yeah. And that was my first time on that mountain. So basically, Sunrise has two peaks with two big high-speed quads during the winter. But during the mountain bike season, they only run one high-speed quad
this year.
And then Colby was telling us that we were pretty sure that they're planning on next year trying to open the second mountain.
Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There was talks early in the season of possibly opening up a lift or something up to Apache Peak, so that way riders can access the raw trails that Brian and his crew cut in. And during that, the gears started turning in my head and was like, okay, outside of what we're already doing, what other things can we do in the future? And, looking at the big picture and kind of like the overall plan for the mountain. And when it was mentioned that they possibly wanted to run that lift, it became kind of logistics. Okay, do they run the lift from Cyclone Base to Geronimo and the Geronimo up to the top, or find a way to be able to get riders to the Geronimo lift? And that's kind of where it came to mind to replace Bacho. Upper Bacho had already been taken off of the Sunrise map because it basically was a maintenance nightmare, erased off the mountain due to erosion and out in the open. So the idea was to be able to replace Bacho while providing an option that would actually take mountain bikers to this lift in order for them to ride up. So the plan is, as far as I know, and it still seems to be in place, and it's more of a Sunrise thing, is that you'll be able to ride up the Sunrise Peak. You'll be able to ride down. And if you take Squirrel Catcher, and the reason why I called it Squirrel Catcher is wanted it to give you a taste of what the raws were like before you got there. So if you don't get down Squirrel Catcher clean, you feel uneasy because it's off camber, it's loamy, it's not built up like park standard style flow trail, then Apache Mountain might not be the place for you to continue exploring.
The Loma Zona, we did the lower part where Squirrel Catcher comes in, and it was beautiful. It's along a creek, and it's definitely different. I know Colby had mentioned how it's different riding.
Yeah.
And it's definitely different over there, on the Sunrise Mountain side. It's, a lot of drainage, if you go onto the blacks and stuff, it's pretty eroded and it's nasty, to tell you the truth. And then you have like Yage and Identity, which are built and really great trails for getting people into it. And then you go over there and it's very different. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard. But the trail was just totally different. So
Chris, you mentioned that you guys had named this trail Squirrel Catcher. And that's actually a common term that we've come across.
Which he just said that.
The trail builders use. Did he just say that?
Well, so what he said was that they named it Squirrel Catcher because it gets you ready for the type of riding that you're going to be doing.
So, and so oftentimes, and maybe Chris, I'll have you have you instead of me, have you, because our listeners keep telling us to shut the F up and get the guest talk.
We wouldn't do this if we didn't talk a lot.
Right. What in general, like what is the concept of a squirrel catcher and how do trail builders use it on trails?
So the concept of a squirrel catcher comes from basically a lot of trail builders, you would get people going down trails where they don't belong. So the idea of a squirrel catcher is actually a feature that would be the gateway to said trail. So you would put your hardest feature on a lot of trails would be your first feature. If you can't get past it, there ain't no business in riding the rest of the trail. So basically it's, the squirrel catcher is the way to knock off unneeded riders that don't belong that way.
Or just tell them what's coming, so they're like, if you're walking the first feature, like when we did Portal Trail and we're on, in Moab, when we were on Gold Rim Trail, there was a feature just like he's saying. And if it says right on the sign, if you walk this feature, you probably shouldn't ride this trail.
Well, hey, like if those are squirrel catchers, I am the squirrel. Thanks for catching me and keeping me from dying, man.
Yep. So that was kind of the idea of why that trail got called that, because the trail acts like the entire trail acts as the squirrel catcher for the Apache Mountain.
So is Apache like rougher than?
Oh yeah,
just more technical, or what do you think?
I only rode that one section.
It's more technical. It's steeper. It's old school kind of trail built in a new school attitude. They use those trails for the BME courses.
Oh, did they?
The Big Mountain Enduro.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So that kind of already gives you an idea that these aren't your run of the mill blacks. And double blacks coming down that side of the mountain.
I've been putting it off because I didn't want to climb. I didn't want to climb up to the top.
Should have brought your e-bike
and then go down. I did. But
you didn't ride it.
No, I ended up hurting my hand because I was going to last 2 runs. I was going to do that mountain and ended up hurting my hand and like ruining that. But now I got to get. I only have like one more weekend before they're closed this year. Right?
Is it really? Is it just this weekend?
This weekend and maybe 2. Maybe 2.
Yeah. Saturday, October 26th is the last day.
So they're not going to be open on the 27th, Sunday?
They're not going to be open on the Sunday following that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, shit.
So
maybe I'll go up this weekend.
You should. There's a bunch of people going up. I wish I could, but I can't.
So back your warm weather, dear.
Yeah. No, I got no problem with that, man. I'm still wearing shorts and like, a bikini down here in Tucson right now. Jesus. So Chris, we've kind of, we haven't talked in any detail about Tonto Gravity and the other people that are in that organization and how that organization is working. So maybe you could like double click on that a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about Tonto Gravity, your other members, and like and how it works.
Our main core consists of people that have been around with us for a long time. So James is within our core. Another buddy, Daniel Kimmy, he's in with our core. He's been actually building with me since 2005. So he's been around for a very long time. And the majority of our people are volunteers. A lot of people that we've just made friends with and continue to come back. And a lot of people that are multifaceted, either riders or people that are just hikers.
Is Matt Shannon still involved?
Yep. Matty Boy
and Kristen Jewell.
Kristen, yep. She's a relative newcomer that's kind of joined us in the last couple of years and has found a nice outlet for getting up on the mountain and being able to give back while expanding her riding Horizon Horizons. She's mainly from an XC kind of racing background.
And she's getting into the rougher stuff?
Definitely getting into the rougher stuff and the gravity side of things.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. Dane keeps pushing me like, you can do this. I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah,
he's like, you can do this.
We got to do a whole podcast on your progression.
I'm getting better though. I think I'm getting better.
Well, you said you walk most of bugs, so that's good. That's a start.
Is that good?
Yeah. At least you were up there.
That's scary. That trail's fucking scary. Have you ever ridden Bug Springs in Tucson, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Is it scary or am I just a squirrel?
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a rough trail, and the fact that you even went up there and attempted it means you've made big progress.
I probably rode more than I'm letting on, but I didn't. Yeah. But you know, the guys from Homegrown are like, a lot of people talk about riding bugs, but they don't actually ride it.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to represent that I was riding it. I'm like, listen, I walked a ton of shit. I got to look at the lines and figure it out. And,
yep. Yeah, that's how you do it, though. That's how you get better. So.
And Lacey goes blasting down the waterfall, taking like the hardest line. I
still need to work on that.
Chris, my life sucks. My wife is better than me on a mountain bike.
Why is that sucky? That's actually amazing.
It is awesome.
You are lucky.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I have no problem with my confidence, so that's a good thing. If a lesser man could not be married to her.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice because you've got somebody who understands your stuff. My wife was asking me questions the other day about biking in a way that showed real interest, and I can't tell you, like, you ever watch The Grinch where his heart grows at the end of the movie? That's how mine did. Like my heart got bigger, like 5 times bigger or whatever.
Carrie, all you have to do to make Dane's heart bigger
I was like,
is to ask him questions about biking.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, she actually cares. It was it was the most heartwarming thing. It was awesome.
So hey, Chris, what's next for TGR? What do you guys got planned?
When we started off strong. We had our adopted trails running like the best they'd ever run. They were beautiful. And then come 2021, we had the telegraph fire come through and literally kick the mountain's butt. I've seen a lot of fires on the mountain, but none did the amount of damage that the telegraph fire did to the mountain.
And you're talking about Pinal at this point.
Yeah, Pinal Mountain. So we've spent the last 3 years doing restoration work. I can say that the end is in sight as far as restoration work goes, which means a lot of our focus and energy can go into basic maintenance of the trails and keep them running good. But it allows us to focus and to turn our attention to our Pinal Mountain master plan, which is big stuff for Pinal Mountain, because the current system mileage on the mountain is about 35 miles of trails. Right. However, out of those 35 miles, 17 of those, which about half, is in bad shape, disrepair, or just unused. Within our master plan, 17 miles of trail is going to be decommissioned on the mountain. Wow. I know people are like, oh God, losing trail. But the idea is, in lieu of losing trail that doesn't get used, and as we all know, trails don't get used, they don't get maintained. Usage is maintenance as well.
Yeah.
Can you double click on that for a minute? What does that mean, Chris?
Well,
usage is maintenance.
Usage is maintenance. So by trails seeing traffic, vegetation is being held back at bay because it's getting foot traffic and bike traffic. The actual surface tread of the trail is in better shape with trails that are being used versus non-used. So when it comes to storms and stuff like that, they have less effect on the trails due to the trails being used. Trails that don't get used get overgrown, get cluttered with rocks that roll off the mountainside, get cluttered with downfall, and eventually just disappear entirely. So there's a reason why some of these trails are in those types of conditions outside of the fire, and that's due to either the location or they're just not desirable. So the plan is to remove undesirable, unused trails and turn those resources, whether it's ours or the Forest Service's, and have it go towards trails that people want to use.
And I'd imagine you got some social trails up there or wildcat trails up there that are going to be adopted as part of, that you want to get adopted as part of the master plan. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Some of TGR's first loves are up there. Can't really divulge on locations or anything like that because we're in agreement not to really publicize and generate the hype that's going to come behind these. But I can say, and from most people's comments, is these are the type of trails that Arizona's been waiting for and been on the hunt for.
So where are you guys at? Where are you guys at with the Forest Service and the master plan process? Like what phase of that process are you in?
Bureaucracy is quite slow with the Forest Service,
yes,
as anybody knows. However,
not just the Forest Service, but any government agency, right?
So, yeah,
for sure.
But we've made actually a lot of progress, and if all goes well, not only will we have adoption of the social trails, we will have clearance to start construction of a new trail on the top of the Pinal Mountains about this time next year.
Oh, wow. So you've got to be then past like the public comment phase, or you guys are still not in that
yet? Public comment has been done on one portion of it already, and it looks like it's going to go again for just because since this plan was initially proposed to them, some changes have been made to the overall view of the plan and kind of what manner that it wants to be attacked in. A lot of times when you propose trails, it's on a trail by trail kind of basis.
Yep, absolutely.
Luckily, because of the fire, we're able to lump a whole bunch of stuff in under a bigger agreement and a bigger EA, which basically it knocks a lot of time off of the entire plan. So whether everything comes to fruit or not, it's being covered from the get-go.
So, Chris, do you know Nathan Gordon from STMB?
I do.
Okay. And we'll talk a little bit off air, but he's done some interesting things down there. I want to make sure you know what he's done down there to help get more support and make sure.
I got a question for you. So we've been talking to a lot of people about trail builds. We've done a lot of podcasts on trails,
because without trails, you can't ride bikes
and advocacy and such. So, and we asked this of Torca, and I think we asked this at SDMB, and so I'll ask you the same thing.
Torca are the guys that are working up on Mount Lemon.
Yep. Yeah. And so, and SDMB does lower Tucson area, and then you talk to SDMBA in San Diego, and we've talked to a lot of groups, and one of the things that I want to know, because a lot of people all over the world are listening to this podcast, and maybe they're out there doing wildcat trails and they want to make them legit, or maybe they're trying to advocate, or maybe they're trying to build trails or what have you. What's the best advice that you could give somebody who wants to make a difference, wants to see trails in their area? What is something that you feel like really made a difference? Oh, there you go. Was that a good question?
That's a good question. I'm giving you a clap. Yeah. Chris can't hear the music, but
okay. Yeah. You didn't hear the cheering. So, but yeah. So, like, if you were gonna tell somebody one thing that really made the biggest difference for you, that wants to do what you've done and accomplish stuff, what would you say is the best?
Got to be passionate about what you do. I mean, you really do. Like the amount of work that has gone in to get us to this point into our relationship with the Forest Service, a lot of it comes down to the passion that I myself and our group have for this. And that it's not so much it's not a selfish thing. It's like what we're creating, and everything I've been involved in is to leave something and to provide for other people. So it's never been like, the end goal's been never really about what I want. It's more about developing community and having people work together towards the same goal. And if you have a passionate, dedicated group of people, it doesn't matter, I think, what situation that you're in, you can make that into a very big positive with your local agencies, land managers, and stuff like that. If you were to go at it with an attitude of me, I built this for me and just me and my buddies kind of deal, and didn't really have that outlook of how it benefits others or benefits the sport, then it's really not going to go anywhere.
So bring the passion and make sure you're taking all users into consideration when you're advocating.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying, Chris?
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of work.
And it's a lot of work. Yeah. Chris, do you have
dedication to it?
Do you have a day job?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Luckily, I have a good day job that appreciates my passion for improving recreation for users and allows me to take the time off needed to fulfill my own goals and my own passions.
Well,
That's
hey, Chris,
amazing.
Chris, on behalf of like every rider in Arizona, I can tell you, and really in the Southwest and maybe in the US, like, I just want to say like a big thank you for the work that you've done. I saw the smiles. So I've ridden some of the trails at Sunrise that you've worked on personally, and they're amazing. And I saw the smile. You talk about like the next generation. I saw the smiles and the drive and the stoke and the flow and everything on my 11-year-old son and on all the buddies that he had out there with him. They were just loving it. And like that day at Sunrise turned him into someone who was like casually interested in mountain biking to someone who's like, hey, this is badass.
Let's go do that again.
And you did that, man.
Yeah,
like,
you did.
And now that gives goosebumps because that's exactly what it's about. I mean, I'm getting up there in age. I can't do this forever. There needs to be people that pick up the torch, and there needs to be riders that continue the tradition of riding, basically, and the more people that get in the sport, stay in the sport, bring their kids in the sport, the more the sport grows and it just continues the movement. So that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Like the hoots and hollers are payment enough when it comes to, everybody enjoying anything that I've built.
And if you don't have the time to spearhead something like this, just giving one day a year in trail maintenance and volunteering, and they can go to your website and volunteer, or how do you, if somebody wants to help you guys out, is there a channel for them to do that?
Oh, absolutely. On the website, we have a volunteer tab, which will have a calendar and a link that brings you to our Facebook volunteer page. We have our standard Facebook business page for Tonto Gravity Riders, but we have a page called Tonto Gravity Riders Volunteer Page. That's where all of our trail dates and events go into, and kind of where people are able to stay more up to date than, say, a website that's updated bi-weekly or monthly or something like that.
So we'll put links to all this in the show notes, but just so to give people an entrance, like, what's your website? They can get to your Facebook from there. What's your website, Chris?
TontoGravityRiders.org.
Awesome, man. Well, Chris, dude, we just want to thank you for spending an hour or so with us here. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, get excited because the plans and the amount of trails that we have in store for the Pinal Mountains is quite impressive. The very first project that we're starting on will be an upper lollipop loop. Basically, this lollipop loop is going to keep you at 7,000 feet for the entire duration of the trail and provide a connection to all the other system trails. So we talked about 6-shooter, Kellner, and Ice House, and social trails. This trail will be able to connect to all of those, give you a way to get from the campgrounds all around the top. And the reason why it's such a big deal is because right now there's currently nothing on the mountain that keeps you on the mountain. There's trails that take you down the mountain, but then actually has any riding. So if you camp up top, you don't have any place to really hike around. You have these short little 1/4-mile old logging roads in between campsites and stuff like that. This will provide 6.5 miles of undulating terrain that keeps you at 7,000 feet. So when it comes to summertime, there'll actually be somewhere where you can ride in the pines for the entire day, or you can hike, or you can ride your horse, or whatever it may be. But it's that multi-use trail that's going to really kind of be the kicking point of opening up Pinal Mountain, along with the social trails. I mean, who doesn't love 1,700 feet of elevation loss in 2 miles?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet.
We need that. We need more of these sky islands that we have out here, that, to have more places to get out of the heat. And
yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. And that's a lot closer than some of the other ones. So,
yeah. Right and on. Overall, we have just under 40 miles of proposed new trail to add to Pinal Mountain.
Jesus.
I know. That's
wow.
Yeah. So if you're interested, get to that website, hit that volunteer, go help these guys. The sooner that they get built.
Yeah. And I think you've got donation for funds as well, right? Yeah. So if folks are not able to donate time, they can donate money to you guys. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have PayPal links on our website. And then if you see us in person, we generally have QR codes handy for people to be able to make donations.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, Chris, I mean, I can't say thank you.
Absolutely.
We so appreciate everything you put on. I'm going to go off here. You can stay on with us though. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks, buddy.